Hi, I'm Tom Loucks, the City of Marshfield's Communications Director. And today I have Scott Owen, the Fire Chief, with me. Thanks for coming.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me here.
All righty. Well, this show is Chat with the Chief, and it's my first episode with Scott, so I'm going to get to know him a bit better and have him talk about his career and let you guys know as well. So I'm going to dive right into it.
Okay.
Get right into it. Scott, I got a chance to meet you a couple months ago. I got a chance to tour the fire station. How long have you been fire chief? And you can start at the beginning of your career if you'd like.
Sure.
I'd like to know a little bit more.
Yeah, so I have been with the City of Marshfield almost 23 years. I was a firefighter down in Milwaukee at the airport for the 440th, which is Department of Defense. It's no longer there, but I was there for 5 years, so I've got almost 28 years in the fire service. I've been the fire chief unofficially since March of 2017, officially June 15th of 2017. So coming up on a year and a half, it'd be 2 years in June that I've been fire chief. So it's been a challenge. It's been good though.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's a lot of duties you have to do. There are times that you have to go out and do any structure fires at all in your position?
Yeah, usually with the bigger structure fires, I go out if the incident commander is not having any problems, has everything under control. I leave that command with them, and I will help them any way that I can. A lot of times on the larger incidents, I become the face of the department when the media shows up. If it's a large enough and the commander's just not comfortable or confused, I can take over. We may work together, but I have all the faith in my commanders. They know what they're doing. They can run the show, and I'll support them any way that I can.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about your staff and how many people are on board. You also do EMS. It's not just firefighting, and you're there 24/7.
Correct. Yeah, so like you said, we are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. We're a full-time career department. There are actually a lot of people in the City of Marshfield that believe that we're still a volunteer department. We haven't been a volunteer department since the 40s. So we are a career department. We have 37 people on staff. We have 3 shifts of 11 each. Each shift is led by a deputy chief. And then we have myself and 2 other 40-hour deputies in charge of the ambulance service and in charge of prevention. And then we have our administrative associate, Lori, who really runs the department. She keeps us all in line and keeps it moving forward. We are in the process of hiring 3 additional staff. We recently started doing transports for the Marshfield Clinic when Spirit moved out of here. And that is all going very well. It has increased our call volume. However, it's also important to let everyone know that the ambulance service itself is run as a business. It's run as an enterprise fund. So there's no tax dollars that are used to support the ambulance. Even with the additional staff, that is coming out of our enterprise fund, out of transport fees, contracts, and not affecting tax base at all. The ambulance service in 2018, I want to say was just about 92% of our call volume, with the remaining 8% fire responses. And that's becoming very typical across the fire service nationwide. When I started, back 27 years ago, it was about 80% EMS, 20% fire, and it's just progressively increasing, and it's going to continue to increase. We're getting to the point where they've termed it a silver tsunami. Baby boomers are retiring. We're starting to see more and more move into the elderly population, which is increasing call volume. We're just starting to see it right now.
All right. Well, we'll touch base with Scott here a little bit more on EMS. I want to thank you for joining me, and this is Chat with the Chief, and I have Scott Owen, our chief here from the city of Marshfield Fire Department. And I guess I want to just talk a little bit more about the EMS and like billing. If they have questions, do you guys handle that? Does it go to Lori?
So yeah, we used to do in-house billing. It was done through our finance department. A couple of years ago, we outsourced that billing. It goes to LifeQuest, which is based out of Watoma. And so if there are questions on bills, just call up LifeQuest, and if you don't know the number, you can call the fire station. We can get it to you. Otherwise, you can Google it, Yahoo it, Bing it, whatever you like to do for your search engine. LifeQuest, and they'll be able to answer any of your billing questions.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of billing in that.
Oh, there's a lot of billing.
So that's pretty common now. A lot of fire departments are going that way instead of internal, just the load, as you're saying.
Yeah, it's definitely, we ran about 3,400 ambulance calls last year, 3,500, something like that. That's a lot of billing, and it's actually been cheaper for us to outsource it to LifeQuest than it was to do it in-house. And they deal with everything. They deal with the billing. They deal with requests from attorneys. They deal with the state. They deal with Medicare, Medicaid. They deal with all of it. We really see very little now, which is a good thing.
Yeah. It take a lot of paperwork otherwise, and you can focus on what you really need to get done.
We've got like 7 file cabinets in the basement of run reports and billing that used to be here that are now with us because we have to retain them for a certain period of time. And it's taken up a lot of space in our building right now. But right now, LifeQuest is doing all that, and we're electronic now. So
yeah, a little bit easier.
it is.
Well, let's kind of paint a picture for our viewers. Get a call, comes in from dispatch, and because no one calls the fire department in an emergency, call 911.
Right, call 911.
911. And say we have just a general call. Do you send a fire engine, or do you just send EMS? How does that work?
So depending on the type of call, if it's an ambulance call, so in the city someone is, has some type of, they're having a little trouble breathing or they fell or something, most times we're just going to send the ambulance. They may request an engine to come and help lift or carry, but most times in the city it's going to be just an ambulance, 2 people, sometimes 3, depends if we have a new person on there or a student. If it sounds like it is a patient who is in cardiac arrest, where their heart has stopped, they're not breathing, CPR may or may not be in progress, then we will send an engine automatically. It adds additional staff to do all of the different interventions that we have to do for this. So in that instance, you could get 5 or 6 people on that scene. When we go outside of the city limits, because we cover 315 square miles of ambulance, we're contracted with 13 townships and villages. They, for the most part, have first responders that respond with us, and they are another set of hands and assistance for us. Again, typically 2, maybe 3. It depends on the ambulance for us.
So you're contracted out to we're not just doing the city of Marshfield.
For ambulance,
for ambulance, but not fire.
Not
correct,
fire.
just ambulance. Okay, well that's a lot. I mean, you're saying ambulance calls 3,500 within a year. That counts some of those outlying areas. So you're a little bit further to drive, but you're still responding as an emergency response, lights, sirens.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, I think that would be a good segue to talk about this new Loucks compression device that you guys just received. There are other ones, I'm sure, but what is this device used for? What's it about?
Yeah, so the Loucks, it's the Loucks 3 chest compression system. This is actually our 4th Loucks device. We purchased one back in like 2015 out of our EMS fund, and then we had a local couple that donated the next 3. So they donated, the first one we received from them, we've named Sven. We gave them naming rights, which is we're happy to do that. So Sven, the second one that came along was Al, and now the last one that we just put into service is Ty. So we have Lucas, Sven, Al, and Ty as an additional set of hands on calls. This device is used for someone who's a pulseless non-breathing patient. CPR is needed. Okay. And basically what it does is it does the chest compressions for us. It is a set rate, it's a set depth, and the nice thing about the Loucks device is it frees up one set of hands. If we have someone who has to do CPR, we lose that person from being able to do airway or medications or defibrillation. This allows two paramedics in the back to be doing the skills they need to and not worry about compressions because they're being done by the machine in a perfect manner.
Wow. So this is like a piece that goes on.
Yep.
So it's not CPR, right? It's different than.
It is basically
Okay.
mechanical CPR.
Okay.
What happens is when the patient is on the ground, manual CPR is in progress. We put a board underneath the patient and we put this device over the top. We push a plunger down into the center of their chest and turn the machine on, and it calculates the depth needed, and then it starts to compress.
Okay.
It's really quite a neat tool. We've used it several times, and with some success.
Okay.
I know when we first got the Loucks device back in 2015, the hospital, St. Joe's at the time, they're like, nah, we don't need that. We can do better CPR manually. And as soon as we brought a patient in, they took it off because they didn't know what this device was. We went through some training with them, and now it's like, can you leave that on? We kind of liked it here. So it's definitely a beneficial tool, not only for us in the ambulance, but it's increases the chance of survival for that patient because they have good quality CPR.
Yeah, and it's regulated somehow by by the machine.
Yep.
That makes a big difference. And another hand
Exactly.
to do something else that could be. I mean, you have an accident with 4 or 5 people, you really are going to need what you can have.
Oh, yes.
It's stressful at that time.
It is.
And
Yes, it is.
So it's in service. You've had a chance to. Do you guys get to test on like fake mannequins or dummies?
We have mannequins at the station that
Okay.
we do monthly EMS and fire training.
Okay.
And certain times throughout the year, we pull the specialty skills like the Loucks device or the IV pumps, the medication pumps, or the cardiac monitors, in addition to the other skills. But everybody has been trained on it, and they're comfortable with the unit, and we're excited to have it on all the ambulances.
So everybody needs to be somewhat cross-trained. Is that how this
Correct.
works? So you're a firefighter, someone that might be with a hose fire may also have EMS experience, you're
Yep,
saying?
everybody in the fire department is cross-trained, either as an EMT or a paramedic or critical care paramedic. I want to say we have like 20, 25, 28 paramedics, and the remaining 11 or so are EMTs. And the way that we're staffed is we have 2 people permanently assigned to the first ambulance. Everybody else is assigned to other fire apparatus, and then as ambulance calls come in, they come off the fire rigs, go onto the ambulance, and then when they get back, they go back to their fire rig.
All right. Well, that gives us a little idea of how it goes. Someday, if we can go over there and have a visual to our viewers, I think that would be great to give them
definitely.
an idea of what you guys do on a daily basis. We'll be looking at that later in the summer after this winter.
Yeah, get rid of this cold
Get
and
rid of
wet.
this cold and wet and yucky sand, and I think it'd be something that I think everybody would like to see, and how that works. Well, we got a few more minutes here to talk a little bit about a fire engine. You have been here for a year now. How's that been going?
Yep. So back in December of 17, I believe, we took delivery of our new platform, our new ladder truck. It's a 101-foot Rosenbauer ladder truck. It's going well. We've had issues. It's a new vehicle. We expect issues. Rosenbauer has been very good to work with. They've been understanding. We just recently went through some additional training with them, and it's going well. We used it at a couple of fires we've had, and it's done its job very well.
Good. Good.
So we're very pleased to have that in the fleet to protect the citizens, and it's a nice truck.
Is it hard to maneuver at all in some of these? You probably had a chance to even use it in that larger structure fire before I came here, fall, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But driving, is that something you have to get used to, or training?
Oh yeah. The crews go through driver training every year in all of the vehicles at the station. The truck is the longest. It definitely has challenges. It has a bucket that sticks out 6-8 feet beyond the front of the rig, and then it has a swing on the back. So you have to know your vehicle and where you're going. I mean, there have been times we've tried to turn onto a side road, and if there's cars parked, we may have to divert to a different road, or they have to back up and kind of jimmy down that road until they can get through. And it is a challenge at times. Alleys are difficult for that truck, but our personnel are very good at driving it. They practice. They know what they're doing, and just if you see a truck or an engine or a ladder or an ambulance coming up behind you with its lights and siren on, pull to the right. Give us the time, and we'll get there, and we'll get there safely.
So, and talking about that, I always wondered as a motorist driving, ambulance, fire truck, police, any rescue is going on say you're on a 4-lane or even in a 2-lane, you're in the opposite lane. Should you still pull over?
You should still pull over, because you never know where we're going to go.
Okay. Even in a 4-lane as well on a highway, because it could turn, right?
If there's a concrete barrier dividing the two, or a big grass ditch, if you're going the opposite way, no, you don't necessarily need to. But if it's 2 lanes or 3 lanes followed by 2 or 3 lanes with just a yellow line in the middle, then you definitely want to pull over, because we may cross over if we're going down like Central Avenue and we're getting close to a stoplight and nobody is moving. We may have to go into oncoming traffic to get around. So yeah, you're always safest just to pull over and let us through.
Can you switch the lights?
We can.
Oh, you can.
Actually, here in the city of Marshfield, back probably 2015 or so, I put together a capital improvements plan to get preemption on all the lights. So our department was the only one that had it. We had, I want to say, like 11 lights in the city, and it was going to be spread out over several years, but the council felt it was a big enough issue that we did the identified intersections as the heavy intersections. So we did that, and then I believe last 17, I believe it was, the police department finished up the plan with the rest of the lights in the city, and but yeah, we can control them if it's working properly.
You just press a button and it goes red, and like
So in the cab, we turn it on or we hit it with our emergency lights, and as we go, it's GPS based.
Okay.
So it hits a satellite, and it'll start the preemption process once it picks up our signal, and if we're turning right. As soon as we flip on our signal, it'll send that signal to the satellite, to the next receiver. It's a smart system, so it knows where we're going to go.
That's pretty neat.
It is. It kind of confuses people, though, because they'll be sitting at the light, and it'll just have turned red, and now all of a sudden it's green, but the opposite traffic remains red. These people are green, and they're like, well, they're not going. Why can't I turn? And eventually, they move.
Yeah, they hear the sirens
yep.
coming up, because it is a little bit of a distance, you're saying.
It is, yes.
Especially if you have to turn and there's some structure building over here, they don't see you.
Right.
Just hearing.
Yeah.
That's the best piece of people be aware of that.
Yeah, so it's a little challenging and confusing for residents when they start to see lights flipping faster than what they're normally used to. But eventually, everybody will kind of understand.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. I would like one of those.
Yeah.
I think I always come up to a stop.
Always hit them,
It's always red.
Yeah, exactly.
You always say that to yourself, oh, another red light.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, so I was always wondering that, and that works out good. Let's talk about, it's springtime here.
Yep.
And you were telling me before the show, there is no really, say, burning in the city. Is that,
right.
Can you just elaborate a little bit? Because, people are going to want to pick up brush, twigs.
Yep.
What do you do with it? Not burn it?
Not burn it. Yeah. So in the city of Marshfield, the only outside burning we allow is basically campfire for recreation, and it has to be in an approved fire pit. We don't allow burning of leaves or brush, twigs, that type of thing. Those are all recyclable materials that should go to advanced disposals, recycle area. And the specifications of the pit, how far it has to be away from a house or other structures, all of those rules, you can get those on our website under it's under Chapter 6 of the Municipal Code, or you can call the fire station, ask to speak to a lieutenant or a shift commander, and they'll be able to explain the requirements. But yeah, there is no permissions granted for burning leaves and brush. We don't have issues with campfires. The only time that we will come in and ask you to extinguish a campfire is if we receive a smoke complaint from a neighbor or something, and then we ask that you put it out. And we see those periodically, especially between neighbors that don't get along.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, or smoke and leaves.
Yep.
Yeah, and that always has a funny smell. That's really what does it.
Yeah, yeah.
Windows open in the spring.
Yep. Get that fresh air in there.
Get that fresh air, and then all of a sudden,
think?
and like, what is that? And yeah, I've been there. So, well, our time is running down. I just kind of want to go through next month. This is the month of, we're taping this in March. This is going to debut all the way through the month of April. So we're going to talk about what's going to be in the May show. I would like to talk a little bit, so you guys are aware of what I'm doing, is the strategic plan. I know that's a big piece for all of us in the city. Maybe some things that you could share that you're looking at wanting to do in the next few years.
Sure.
For the fire. So that's one I'd like to bring up, and then some of the other things that are happening come May for you guys. If school is getting out, or getting close to getting out, we hope, unless they have more snow days. Maybe there's something there we can touch base with. And fire alarms, everyone should always be checking those no matter what. But if there's any kind of programs out there, we could touch base with that. I know maybe you guys have them. I'm not sure, so I'll find that out. And again, it'll be getting into that more awareness of tornadoes. Just if you guys if something did happen, EOC, we're in there. I want to talk a little bit about that. That's coming up. We all know that the weather's going to change. It's been quite a bit different lately.
Right.
I think we got to expect we could have something coming someday and be prepared. And your fire department would be out there helping out as best they could if that does happen. So I just touch base with that. But anything else, Scott, before we sign off?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me here, and I look forward to doing this routinely.
All right, sounds good. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me here on Marshfield Community Media Station. And I'm Tom Loucks with the Chief here, Chief Scott Owen, and we'll be back next month on with a show with him with those questions. And if you have any questions for us, please, why don't you give me a call? 715-486-2070. I'm Tom Loucks, the new Communications Director for the City of Marshfield. Again, the number 486-2070. If you want me to ask a question to the Chief, and he'll be able to maybe answer that for us. So please call in, or you can send me an email as well. I'm on the city website. But feel free to give me a ring anytime you want or leave a message. So again, thanks for watching us. We'll talk to you next time.